Okay, well, our friends at Luminar with their new Neo have a new module out, focus stacking. And as we have said that Fred and I like to take credit for that. Maybe me more than Fred. Because we did discuss it with him.
It was
he did
something
take
that we talked
copious
about.
notes when we
Yes.
were talking to the programmer, and was quite thrilled to see it released. So the focus stacking will allow you to take, we're using it for macro.
Yes.
Where we're taking, because you got to, but it doesn't have to be just for macro. Landscape photographers can use this. So if you've got something in the foreground, and then you want, of course, your deep focus to the background,
Yes.
especially if it's overcast or a little bit darker, to where you have to use a wider open aperture, so you got a narrower depth of fields. Focus stacking can be used in that case as well. And we found that, at least in my case, because when we did the flowers, in my case, I didn't have enough of range on, so I didn't use any of my flower images. Fred did, because I think he had a broader range. When I brought it in and did the Fender guitar, it was a lot more dramatic because I focus stacked much deeper and I used more images. So it's something that you're going to have to kind of experiment with too.
Of course. I found, to be honest, Jim, because the field shots that we took of the plants were not quite to my liking. So I went home and I have my famous Brazilian button plant, which has purple flowers, and they're perfect because they're the way that they bloom open. You actually, it's like an inflorescence. So you have the outer, you have the middle, you have all this other to do. And as you saw, we have, or as you will see.
As you will see, yeah.
I'm sorry. As you will see, you can see, hey, this is one of the first few photos that we took within the stack. And then when we processed it, what it did to it, I really liked. I did not use as many for that as I did for the guitars. And I did two separate things. Jim looked at one point of view and I looked at two others. And I was able to actually do more photo stacks for those to get what I wanted. With the plants, I found that I was tending to use less, not as many. I tried it both ways. Tried to use 20 photos and I went back to 10 photos, and I found that sweet spot where I got the results that I wanted. And that's the important thing. You're not trying to say this is the perfect picture. You're trying to get the effect that you desire from that photo.
That's why I think it takes a little experimentation, and you just got to a little trial and error to get what you want. And the unfortunate thing is that when you're recording it, you're not going to see the final results. You have to go back and run it through Neo in order to see that. And also want to mention that Fred and I, our cameras, do have the focus stacking ability where it'll focus and take a series of shots automatically for us. If your camera doesn't have that ability, then you can always change the focus, take a picture just to focus slightly. It's probably not quite as accurate, but it's still going to work, and Neo should still be able to take those. And
of course, there's manual sliders that aren't that expensive.
Yes, and I want to also
sliders.
Mention that in our case, when we were doing the original flowers, that even though there was hardly any wind, there was just slight movement, because when you're in that close, if it's just moving this much, it looks like it's a huge movement when you're in that close.
Of course.
So if you're going to do that, it's probably best to have that plant inside. I don't even think that if you used something to stake that down, it would still be, because you're taking a series of images.
Well, I'm going to agree to disagree on that one, because my image that I took of the Brazilian button flower was outside. I did use a clamp, and the one thing that I found in the process of plant photography is patience is huge. I had to wait for a point where there was no movement.
But that's the point. You had to wait till there was no movement. I'm saying if there is movement, even the slightest.
Of course, I agree.
Although I found that even then, there's a slight movement, that Neo, this new focus stacking, seemed to be able to handle that and still was able to stack them.
So the bottom line is that I didn't mind doing it, and I couldn't have brought that plant inside. It would have been a bit massive. I would have, my wife would have been really upset because I would have had to dig it up And so I would have been walking in with this huge root ball and soil going everywhere. And so that wasn't going to work. But the other way did. It was a little bit more challenging. But like I said, I wanted to see if I could use it in the field and get the results. If you're not into having to do that, it's almost like fishing. You have to be very patient till you things happen the way you want them to, and that's really all I can say about it.
Why don't we go out in the field and show them what
let's
we were able to accomplish.
All right.
All right, well, we are here to test out a new feature that has been added to our Skylum Neo, our friends.
Luminar Neo, yes, from Skylum.
From Skylum. And Fred and I...
It is an add-on feature, though.
It is, yes.
It's not something that automatically comes with the program. If you buy the yearly, maintenance?
The updates, and there's several different modules that you can get.
And there's supposed to be more coming, and you get all of them. You can either buy them separately, or you can pay a yearly fee and get all of them.
Everything as they come along.
As they come out and are
Fred
there.
and I, and I guess this goes back a couple of years ago, we did a photo walk with the Skylum team.
Well, I don't think it was that 2 years.
Maybe a year ago.
Maybe a year.
Anyway, it's on our YouTube channel and on the previous podcast. But we met with the Skylum people, and the next morning we had breakfast with them, and they was asking what features we'd like to see. Well, the first thing that Fred and I mentioned is because we had been working with our friend Mike Matthews up in Louisville, was focus stacking.
Right.
And the programmer's taking copious notes. He's writing everything down and asking questions. So Fred and I like to take some credit for the focus stacking module.
Whether we can or not. The nice thing about it, I will say the folks at Skylum ask questions of photographers, and they listen, because they've included these things as add-ons. Think of them as filters or plugins, basically, that you can then use within the Luminar Neo software. So we're going to see how well that works for us, because Jim would tell you that there are dedicated programs, dedicated software to focus stacking.
And they cost considerably more than
inexpensive.
Neo does. Yeah.
So if we found kind of a hidden golden nugget here within this program, within Luminar Neo, definitely we're going to tell you how things come out, because we're going to do some photography today. Not a lot to shoot.
Yeah, we've got an azalea here that's blooming. There's not much going on right now. And I also want to mention that our friends from Skylum are based out of Kyiv, so it's actually kind of incredible they're able to do this, the fact that they're based in Ukraine.
Right, that they keep updating and adding and doing so many things to the program. And we're not going to say it's the only thing in town, it's the best thing since sliced bread, but it is a solid photographer's program. It's a nice piece of software for amateur and professional photographers out there.
And what we're going to do now, we got mirrorless cameras from Canon, and they have an auto focus stacking feature. They don't put it together, but they will automatically take rapid pictures. The idea, you're trying to focus close and then go so the entire subject has some spots in focused. So if you don't have that auto feature, you're going to have to do this manually by adjusting the focus, taking a picture just a little bit more.
They do make sliders that are focus sliders, manual, that you can do. And of course, the automatic ones are a little pricey.
A little more money.
Yeah. But you can get a manual one and play around with it. And they do have the measurement, graduated measurement on the side.
Yeah, and
so
we
you can
also
at least,
did this a couple podcasts or YouTube videos back with the Arsenal, which we'll take and we'll stack them together and create a JPEG image. So, and we showed you that. I did it with a guitar and a Christmas cactus blossom. If you want to go back and look at that, we'll try to put a link here for the YouTubers.
There you go.
And we're going to go ahead and
let's quit
too
talking,
breezy
Jim.
today. We got a little animal down here too that's watching us. We got an audience.
So I say let's get going.
Yeah, let's
quit the talking and start shooting.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, we were a little concerned because even though it's not very windy today,
just enough that
when we're that close, just a little tiny bit, we're concerned that maybe it's not going to be able to stack them. So we decided to come in here. We grabbed the old Stratocaster here because it's not going to move.
No.
So
this gives us a fallback. If the plants don't work out, we definitely have the guitar.
Got this. And it might be an interesting too, because we also did some different settings on this. We did a longer
Right.
focus
And
and
we-
more images.
We concentrated on different parts. You
Yep.
were looking at the fretboard and
Strings
strings.
and-
I was looking at the machine heads and,
the volume tone
volume
controls.
tone controls. So kind of fun stuff.
Right.
Listen, this is something that you can do yourself or with a couple of friends or with a whole group. If the weather's not great or if it's too hot, too cold, whatever it is, this gives you some choices and some fun stuff to do. That's all I can
Yeah,
say. It's
and we're
just-
hoping that more of the
yeah.
mirrorless cameras have this ability into them with the focus stacking. We're actually
Right.
automatically. We found out that on the Canons, that once you set the number of frames, you just push that shutter button
Once.
and
and
it
it goes through and takes that number and goes to the width that you preset. So
Yeah.
it was pretty
A
cool.
lot easier than doing it manually.
So I mean, not that we haven't done it manually, and not that we won't continue to do it from time to time.
Yeah.
If I'm using my regular DSLR, I'll have to do it manually or borrow a friend's equipment. So it's it can be some fun stuff. I think.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think the biggest problem doing manually focusing it is going to the camera. So, okay. And hey, if you like this video, we want you to go out and click on that subscribe button
Yes.
on YouTube.
Yes.
And give us a like. And if you want to know when we post something new, hit the little bell too.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
it'll let you know.
Mhm.